Good evening and welcome to Recruitment Race number 3 in the NRE Power Systems Truck Series, brought to you by the NASRA 360 Racing Network. My name is Tyler Dittmer. Tonight I'll be joined in the booth by Michael McKinnon, and we'll have our in-race reporter Brady LaBeouf out there on track tonight with us. When you think of Vegas, you think of gambling, you think of fast cars, and you think of exciting times. And hopefully these drivers bring that to here with us tonight. I'd like to take it over to Michael McKinnon to give us a little bit of insight on how this 1.5-mile track runs.
Thank you, Tyler. Good evening, everybody. Well, when I think of Vegas, I think of the bumps in turn 1 and 2, the tire wear, being a day race, probably get a little loose off 3 and 4. I'm interested to see how hard these guys push. We know they can go wide open for a little bit, but you do that, the line will start to move up in 1 and 2 because of the bumps, and we'll get some very interesting racing from that.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And as you can see, it's a very, very bright, sunny day here in Las Vegas, the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway, which means that track is going to be a little bit slick. Those tires should fall off a little bit faster than a night race, and it's going to provide its own unique challenge for the drivers, especially as you said in those bumps in 1 and 2. Tonight's race will be 135 total laps. We'll have stage 1 ending on lap 30, stage 2 going another 30 laps ending on lap 60, and the final stage will be a 75-lap run to the checkered flag. Field window tonight will be 43 to 48 laps. The drivers will have one fast repair, a total of 4 sets of tires, including one that they're starting on, and a 20 incident DQ limit.
20x for tonight. I think that'll be more than enough. We know these guys are going to go side by side for a lot. So the draft is going to be important. And like I said, they can go wide open for several laps, but you will see them migrate to the top in 1 and 2. And I'm ready to get it on. I don't know about you.
I am as well. As they're wrapping up qualifying, it looks like most of our drivers are probably through the qualifying session now. Should be getting ready to grid up in the next minute or so. But again, as you think of Las Vegas, as you said, they're going to migrate towards the top, especially in the long run, and you're going to see tire fall off with this being a day race. How pivotal is it to maybe not run side by side those first 10, 15 laps and kind of wait, let your tires come into its own, maybe save a little bit of tire and try to make moves later on in the run?
Well, that'll be very important, of course, because this is one of the 1.5s that the draft is so important, and your line is very important. Too high, you may lose the draft too early. Too low, you're burning the tires. So I would expect them to get in line, do the best they can. But if they lose the draft, they're going to be in trouble.
As you can see, we're going through our starting grid here. Our pole sitter for tonight's race, Justin Lumpkin, regular in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series. Actually, I believe he's currently somewhere in the top 10 in points. One of the faster trucks in that series. Alongside him, we have Tony Brent, starting third, another Triple M Pulling Truck Series former driver, and Kyle Hess. And we have Ricky Allen, Kurt Jackson, Jonathan Wiley, a regular in these races now, as well as Dan Matthews starting off P7. Looks like Brad Wetzel P8, Jason Stevenson P9, Cody Sanderson P10, Huck Wigington, another Triple M driver, in P11, and Tristan Rogers will be rolling off in 12th position. As we go through the rest of the grid, it looks like we have Brady LaBeouf, our league leader, rolling off P13, Charles Keller Jr. P14, Jesse Newsom P15, Michael Taylor P16, and then that'll be the remainder of the field. The rest of the drivers, Michael McKinnon, you're here in the booth with us, just loaded in for some reason on the grid. Cody Knott, our producer as well, showing his P18, but he will not be running tonight as he'll be helping us. But the other drivers of Rogers, Deere, and Berberich will should be running. They'll probably just start from pit lane or at the back of the field.
Yeah, we'll have 20 cars on the grid. I didn't mean to load in a session. I tried to watch and it didn't let me, so I didn't have a choice. So we are now done with the grid and we'll be rolling off shortly.
As you look at that grid, Michael, we always have the our booth picks for the race this week. Who do you think is going to come out with the win tonight?
Well, I'm partial to some of the guys we raced with on Friday, and I know Kyle Hess is one of the more patient tire savers, along with Lumpkin. Lumpkin's very good at saving tires, so I'm going to be interested to see how hard Justin pushes these guys at the beginning, but I'm going to take Kyle Hess for the win.
I'm going to go a little bit further down the grid. I'm actually going to go to Brady LaBeouf as my pick for the win. I think he has what it takes to get it done. He always gives me a hard time for saying he's one of the best drivers at Vegas, even though I believe I own two of the league victories here in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series on our Friday night series at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So I'll go for him. And actually, we're going to dial him up here. Brady LaBeouf, Tyler Dittmer in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Tyler. Thank you.
Yeah, a little bit of a rough qualifying lap for you, starting in the back. What's your strategy stage one?
Just to kind of fill out, see how this race is going to go. I'm not too familiar with the majority of this group, so I'm just going to kind of conserve on the first run, kind of give me a baseline on my tire wear, and then kind of see how this race plays out.
I appreciate it, Brady. Well, good luck, and hopefully you can keep the truck clean. We'll hopefully be able to talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Good luck to you boys tonight.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you, bud.
As they're coming off of four, coming up to the Geico restart zone, we do have those rules in effect here tonight. Justin Lumpkin waiting for Barney the flagman to wave the green flag, and they're underway here at Las Vegas in recruitment race number 3. Lumpkin with great start.
Yeah, immediately you see the veterans take off. Hess, I expect these two to get in a line and pull the group along. Very smart right off the bat. Take the middle line, stay away from the bumps, and we'll see the draft take effect really quickly here with this front group.
As you say that, those front 6 immediately get single file and are going to work a little bit together, maybe try to pull away from everyone behind them, as they have kind of already separated themselves from the remainder of the pack, as we kind of saw in that wide shot through 1 and 2, 3 wide in the back. I mean, how important is it to jump in line early here so you don't lose that draft?
Well, as we said, this almost races like a mini Talladega at first. So to me, the draft is very important here. Now, there is one thing to think about. Get a little aero push off 1 and 2. That can scrub some speed off your tires. But, well, and I'm surprised. Hess going for the lead right away. Talked him up as the patient man, but he's going to take it right to the lead immediately.
Looks like Lumpkin got really tight there in 3 and 4, and he shot high. He's going to lose 2 spots, maybe even a third there, as we have a big shakeup at the front. Looks like Jonathan Wiley's going to go and try to get the 3rd position, but he's going to have to do it through bumps as Lumpkin already opts to the outside lane.
Yeah, very high. We see Wiley get by. We're going to see Matthews get by here momentarily, I believe, and bring a bunch with them. These guys continue to run that high line. They're going to get freight trained here for a while.
Yeah, Kyle Hess jumps to the outside. He's going to lose the lead to Ricky Allen, and Jonathan Wiley looking for 2nd place. That high side, I wouldn't necessarily say it's the place to go this early, especially in 3 and 4. Fresh tires, you can really hook that bottom really well. In 1 and 2, you're not going to hit the bumps. You're not afraid about like losing the car on that high side, but it's really not working early on for guys like Kyle Hess and Justin Lumpkin.
No, a little bit too high. For those of you not familiar with this track that race on a service or watch, we talk about the bumps in 1 and 2. If you're low enough, you miss them. If you're high enough, you miss them. If you get that little bit in between, you hit them, you see what happens to these guys. Shoots them straight to the outside, and they're having trouble maintaining speed with the front 4.
As we have a nice battle here for 2nd. Still, though, Ricky Allen up front. Jonathan Wiley has company to his inside, and these drivers are very racy early on, but still really clean and respectful, which is good to see after they've had a probably very couple chaotic weeks the last 2 recruitment races. It's kind of nice to see these drivers race hard but clean this early on in the race.
Yeah, well, I think they understand this is a long event. Most people aren't used to these long events, so they're doing a really good job pacing. And here we see looks like Matthews going to try to go up underneath Allen for the lead here.
Yeah, he had a really good run into 1 and 2 there, kind of just using a little bit of a side draft. He's going to have the bottom here in 3 and 4, but Ricky Allen has kind of run that middle groove really well. Gets a nice launch off the corner, but Matthews is definitely there this time off of 4, and he's going to try and maybe, is he going to cut the trial? But no, he's going to stay above that white line. That lap will go to Ricky Allen. He'll get some help here from Jonathan Wiley behind to push him into the corner. Matthews sliding up the track, and I mean, just a great job by these front 4, racing really, really hard, but really, really clean this early on.
Yeah, Matthews showing really good speed right here on the bottom. Might have got a little tight there in 1. And again, for those at home, you hear Tyler talk about the side draft. You'll see these guys get real close to each other and then separate to change the air around the car, pull the front one back, give the other one a springboard forward. As I said, it's like a mini Talladega. The draft is super important.
And I love this view. We can see the steering inputs from Ricky Allen. As you're going to see Dan Matthews probably slide up in front of Allen for the lead here off of 2. He slid up so late in the corner that, it didn't really get him any aero type, but Matthews is going to still run that bottom, and Allen's going to try to keep as much clean air on the nose of that truck as he can and run that top line. As these drivers are still battling really hard here in the top 5. We have a little bit of a blink there from the inside car battling for second, but nothing too concerned as Brent is already moving towards the front early on.
Yeah, Tony Brent looking very fast. As we said, the bottom line will prevail for a while, but they will be up in the middle groove. I will almost guarantee everything I got on that.
Yeah, as we see now, the front 2 drivers get single file, looking more like the front 3 now. Jonathan Wiley trying to slot in there in the 4th spot, or correction, that's Jackson. Wiley's back in the 5th spot now. Lumpkin, our pole sitter's already fallen to 6th and has kind of just settled there. That looked really close there for Allen coming into 1. May have brushed the wall. He's going to get aero tight right on the bumper there of Matthews. That's going to be an ill-handling truck if he keeps to run him that close.
Yeah, that far behind, you'll start to push entering and coming off both, especially coming off the corner, and that, of course, wasting the right front tire. And as we know in iRacing, that means a lot.
It really does, and as we said before the race began, fuel window of 43 to 48 laps. These drivers aren't worried about gas for this stage 1 of only 30 laps, but this tire wear may play a big factor at the end of this run as Allen is really trying to get by Matthews, but he's going to get aero tight. Big run is going to come from Brent from behind.
Yeah, I noticed Matthew throwing a little bit of a block there. I'm pretty sure Mr. Allen probably doesn't like that too much, but it is what it is early. Like I said, 11 laps into the event. I like the fact that they're not going straight to the apron coming through there. A lot of folks will do it. I myself will do it, but I also think that increases tire wear.
It really can. Running at Vegas a lot, I think in this service, the key really is saving those tires and kind of just running a controlled pace. I remember I got the lead in my last win in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series at Vegas by pitting 1 lap before everyone else in that long green flag run to the end, got the track position, and was able to hold people off just by conserving tires and running the line where no one could get around me because I took the air off the nose of their truck. So having that advantage that Matthews has now, 1, it's not going to hurt his tire wear, and 2, it's going to kind of keep everyone controlled behind him. As now we're looking back at Brady LaBeouf, who has moved up to 10th, and Keller Jr. there sitting in 9th as their battle, but they're a little bit separated from that lead pack of about 8 drivers.
Well, knowing Brady, he won the last race we had here, so I'm saying he's conserving a little bit. Now, I got in late. I'm not sure if there are stages. If not, he is doing the absolute correct thing. Save tire, long way to go.
Yeah, so we will have stages today. Lap 30 and lap 60 will be our stage breaks, but I think it'll give Brady that good baseline for understanding how hard he can push and how much it's going to damage his tires from the long run for that last 75 lap stint, where hopefully we will have green flag stops as we see a little bit of a battle here between Brady and it looks like Tristan Rogers. Rogers looking to the outside but just couldn't find any space to maybe make a move, and he'll just settle back in line for now.
Yeah, Rogers doing the 1.5 thing where you get up on the high side and you think you're going to just rocket off and have the big run. Vegas is odd that way. 3 and 4 doesn't seem to work that way, and that's something they're going to find out. I think the higher you go in 3 and 4, the less run you get off the bottom from what I can tell.
As we say that, Ricky Allen makes a move to the inside of Dan Matthews. Looks like he got a little tight in the middle of the corner, but he's going to be able to just tuck back in line behind Matthews. Tony Brett there might be able to make a move, though, on Allen as he really lost a lot of speed, and he will. He's diving to the inside in turn number 1. Will he hit those bumps? As you can see, the truck get a little bit unsettled, but it still will hook that bottom, and Brent should have a decent run off the corner if he can maybe side draft Allen and maybe get into 3 and 4.
Yeah, I really like the line Brent is taking. 16 laps in, and he's able to really hook it, and he's not pushing out. So doing a good job controlling the front wear on his tires. He's just losing a little bit of runoff, as we said. Midway through the track is good. Too high is bad. Too low will be good for a while, but I'll be surprised if he can keep it up down there.
Oh, as we see contact and Jonathan Wiley's on the outside. Yeah, as we just cut back to Kurt Jackson, he sideswiped Jonathan Wiley, who right front goes straight into the outside wall in 1 and 2. He's probably going to have significant damage, and limp that truck back around and try to get the pit road as other drivers are going to pass below. But I mean, Wiley with a significant hit there, but he'll continue on for another lap, it seems.
Yeah, he was able to avoid the yellow. Looked like the bumps got him right there, shoved up the track and made contact.
Yeah, Jackson just not handling those bumps well, and just Wiley just kind of a victim there. And that truck definitely has lost a significant amount of speed, and that's just unfortunate to see an incident there this early on. They do have a faster pair, and I think if Wiley gets his truck fixed now, he may be able to get that lucky dog and be back on the lead lap by the end of stage 1 caution break.
And up front, we're starting to see the front two start to pull away from Brent a little bit. I think he's used a little bit too much bottom. Starting to see these two guys stretch it out just a bit. It looks like they're out to about 3/10 above the next two. So I'll keep an eye on those lap times. We'll see if they're really pulling away.
And Tony Brent, as we could see, not being able to hook the bottom as well in 1 and 2. He's drifting up a little bit more than he has the past few laps, as we got Kurt Jackson there looking to the inside, can't get a move done. I mean, these drivers are trying to find grip. They're trying to find clean air entering the corner. You got to run a different line than the truck in front of you. I think Ricky Allen's really going to hurt that right front tire if he keeps running right in the tire marks of Dan Matthews.
Yeah, like we said before, he's going to get a push at some point. That usually will show up about now in the run if they're going too hard.
Well, he's making a move to the inside instead, and surprisingly, kind of got it to stick there through 1 and 2. As Tony Brent's also looking to the, or Kurt Jackson, excuse me, is looking to the inside of Tony Brent, and that's going to bring Lumpkin and Wetzel all the way together, and we're going to have 2x2x2 for the front 6.
Yes, sir. And
there's contact.
Up the track he went.
And we keep it green. I mean, an amazing save there by Dan Matthews to keep the truck straight and keep it going. And an amazing job by the 4 drivers behind them directly running side by side to not pile drive into that and make that worse than it was.
And I will say he was not too happy about the door slam right there, listening in. But he continues on. It doesn't look like too much damage. He should be okay here in a little bit.
And the driver who was in the first incident of the night, Kurt Jackson, takes the lead from all of that chaos where there was a lot of lifting, it seems. I think that might have been a situation where, as we were talking about, Ricky Allen had running that bottom and running in the tire tracks of Dan Matthews. Maybe when he went underneath him, got a little tight and just washed up into him.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up as they were coming into the corner. I was going to say, we'll see what he's got right here. And it definitely washed him up the track.
Yeah, as these old tires, when you hit those bumps in 1 and 2, you kind of lose control of the nose of that car, and it can just shoot up very easily. As Justin Lumpkin looks to the inside of Kurt Jackson for the lead here in 1 and 2, but he's going to hit the bumps and get a little tight.
Going to get a pretty good runoff, though. Didn't seem to hurt him too bad on the runoff. Down here, to me, is the most important corner. Everybody thinks it's 1 and 2. You get a good run here, it propels you all the way into 1. And you see Lumpkin a little high, and you will see Jackson pull away right there.
Yeah, and Jackson really has been running a really nice 3 and 4. Hasn't seemed to be putting a lot of wheel input, kind of running the same line lap in, lap out. Won't really hurt him. As he's run a little bit of a kind of late apex 1 and 2 there. And it's a pretty good lap there. But as you see the lap comparison there, I mean, Lumpkin was a bit faster in that first half of the track. Let's see if Jackson can outpace him again in the second half.
Well, you see Jackson move up there this time and try to take the air off of Lumpkin and get the same run that Justin got. And the draft is just a little too strong. Justin's able to come right back to him. I don't know if he can, I don't think he's close enough to make it right through this corner, but you're going to see something, I believe, here real quick coming down the front stretch.
And it might be here actually on the back stretches. It looks like Jackson got wide and Lumpkin is definitely there. He could side draft, but he's going to keep it wide and clean and not run the risk. Lumpkin just really quick, almost half a tenth fast, or over half a tenth faster in that first half of the lap. And Lumpkin's really in the inside, and they're dead even. And Lumpkin should get the run off of 3 and 4 to take the lead here.
Yep, side by side. Now what that's going to do is allow Jim Deere to probably, these other guys, to reel them in if they stay side by side. They're going to have to sort this out, or they're going to have a lot of company here real soon.
Yeah, especially for Lumpkin. He's not going to be able to get a good run off the corner if he's pinched down to the bottom. And as you see there, Jackson's able to pull away on the outside and get around him again. So that's going to be a very frustrating set of corners there for Lumpkin. He thought he had the move and just couldn't get it done through 1 and 2 when he drew even on the front stretch. So he's going to have to reevaluate how he's going to want to make this pass.
Yeah, he's going to have a little more momentum, because if he continues to do that, he's going to hurt the tires that it seems that he has saved. But if he continues to try and dig on the bottom and make the pass and not get it done, he's just going to hurt himself in the long run.
Speaking of big movers, though, Brady LaBeouf has cracked the top 5, and my pick is looking good early on here, as it seems that he's found his way through the traffic and all the chaos that happened when we had those minor incidents that everyone was able to keep going green. And looks like we'll be till about 3 laps left in stage 1, and Brady LaBeouf, 9 position increase already in the first 28 laps.
Yeah, Brady, always great at Vegas. Good saver, and he knows when to go, and he can certainly go when he needs to. So he'll utilize the draft here, and I'd say I'll give them all a little bit of a challenge within the next 3 or 4 laps.
As it looks like Love's able to go around the high side in 1 and 2 and make that pass on Kurt Jackson. Those tires he saved definitely had an advantage there if he can make that pass on the outside in 1 and 2 here at Vegas.
Well, and now we know why they went so high to begin. Let the guys go by, save a little tire, and then show them what's up at the end of the run. He's looking really stout right now.
Yeah, he is, as he's back up front after qualifying on pole, and he only has 2 more laps here in stage 1 to close out that stage 1 victory, as the 4 drivers from 3rd through 6th are battling really hard. They're very tight.
Yeah, it's good to see Allen still up there after the contact, trying to find Matthews. He's still up there in 8th, so it doesn't seem like they're damaged too bad. And, of course, with the fast repair, they'll be able to really, fix it up later in the race and have a good pace to end the show.
And Jonathan Wiley, who hit the wall earlier, did not pit, has stayed out, and it looks like he will be able to survive and stay on the lead lap in order to not have to go and get the lucky dog or waste any time on pit road. So he looks to have saved himself a little bit, as we're on the final lap here of stage 1. Justin Lumpkin coming through 3 and 4 to take that stage 1 victory. Didn't look great early, but he got it done here late.
Yeah, fantastic move by Justin, and I'll tell you what, all these guys, we're not aware of a lot of them, but doing a really good job. We just see maybe a little bit of the veteran, just taking advantage of the tire wear.
Definitely, and guys who run these longer races more often are going to understand how the tire wear works a little bit better, especially on a warmer Las Vegas track. I know generally in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series, we race Vegas at night, a little bit more gripped up, a little bit less tire wear, but obviously running long races inherently give you that advantage when you have to do, more of these types of races.
Yeah, absolutely. I know the first few times I ran one of these full-size races, it becomes a attrition for your body. I've actually had short tracks, had my legs cramp, sweat. It's a big change from an official.
For sure. Stage 1 was brought to you by Butt Kicker. Feel what you've been missing. One of our earliest sponsors, Butt Kicker. Mike, you can speak to how much they've meant to this league and especially to just NASRA as a whole.
Yeah, they've been with us for over 5 seasons now. And as they say, go to buttkicker.com and feel what you've been missing. They always are right there for us all the time.
Yeah, and it's just amazing, the product, and it does actually, in my opinion, really add to that realism of feeling the track and feeling those bumps, especially here at Vegas. You could really be feeling those bumps in 1 and 2.
Yeah, I know one thing. I ran 2 practice laps earlier just to get a feel for what these guys had. I wondered why it had so much grip. I'm looking now. I didn't realize the temperature is only 65 degrees. Track temp is 89 right now. So tire wear might not be as big of an issue. It will be an issue, but it's much better than it could be for these guys right now.
Yeah, as I'm looking at that track temp is low. The air temp is low, as it looks like Lumpkin should win the race off pit road, and he does. Tight battle, though, for second. Third, as it looks like Jackson's going to fall to third. Brady will remain his 5th place, and Kyle Hess, your pick, sitting there in 6th.
Yeah, Kyle, always the thinking man's driver. I love how he races. He'll bide his time, and then he'll go when he needs to. And just one of my favorite guys to watch. So patient. He's one of the most patient guys we have.
For sure, and a lot of these Triple M Pulling Truck Series guys that we have in here tonight are generally some of the more patient drivers we see on that circuit and that series. especially, Lumpkin and Brady. They may not have the finishes to show for it, generally not of their own doing, but they are generally some of the more patient drivers and are around at the end, especially at super speedways where patience really is key.
Well, while we're still lining up, should we bring in Brady, see what he's feeling, if we're describing it right, or if he's a little looser than we think?
Yeah, let's get Brady in the booth. Brady LaBeouf, you got Tyler and Mike up in the Nazar 360 booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, guy.
So, what did you feel in those first 30 laps? We saw you start deeper in the pack, and you had to kind of run up through there. Finishing fifth, though, in the first stage is kind of a nice way to start your night.
Yeah, it was fun avoiding the two accidents that it was great saves by Dan, and I can't remember the Menards Corps guy, but they about were completely sideways 90 degrees, and they both saved it, and I was able to kind of pick off a couple of guys because they lost momentum, so that was fun. But towards the end of that run, I was definitely burning off the right front. You were having to lift a lot, but it's been fun.
Now, Brady, I know you're great here. Is the draft more important during the day or the night, do you feel? Is it as strong in the daytime as it is at night with a little more grip?
I tell you what, I would say both. You can definitely feel the pull down the back straightaway and the front straightaway. So it's definitely helpful. If you're lifting, especially after about 20 laps, you definitely need the draft. So if you can't stay with the draft, you're going to get left behind running around here by yourself. But I've got to figure out 1 and 2. I'm struggling in 1 and 2. I was hitting the bumps. So once I get that figured out, I think I'll be able to give Justin and these guys a run for their money.
Yeah, well, as our producer has so kindly put on the broadcast for us, it is the boss man of Nazareth currently, and we appreciate everything you do for this league and putting on these recruitment races and letting us do what we can here in the booth. And we obviously appreciate you coming in and talking to us. I will say you might want to try and see if you can really hook that white line in 1 and 2. It seems a couple guys are able to get to work, or maybe just follow what Justin was doing because he seems to have this place pretty much figured out right now.
10-4, I appreciate the info, and I appreciate you guys doing it tonight, man. Good luck to y'all. Enjoy the second stage.
Yeah, and enjoy yourself, and we'll get back to you later on in the race. But that's our in-race report from Brady LaBeouf, the boss man, sitting right now. Looks like actually in P4, so maybe someone had sped off pit road.
Yeah, we got a new taker at the front here, Brad Wetzel, going to see if he can hang with the guys. I haven't called his name all night. We're going to see what he's got right here on the get-go.
Yeah, for sure. Brad Wetzel, we don't know a lot of these guys when we come into these recruitment race broadcasts. We don't know what to expect from them, but it's always good to see new guys up front, new faces, and see what talents may emerge. Dan Matthews has been, for sure, an incredibly fun driver to watch. Jonathan Wiley has been in all 3 races I can think of. A lot of these guys, Cody Sanderson as well. So it's always fun watching these guys. It looks like Lumpkin is the control car, just chose the outside lane. As we're coming up to the Geico restart zone, and Lumpkin gets a really good shot as you see the field behind him. He's going to pull away and be all clear, headed into 1 and 2.
Yeah, just a rocket shot right off the bat here. Let's see if he does the same thing and stays up high early, save the tire, and then come get him. And that looks to be exactly what he's trying to do as Brady starts to make his move on the outside.
Yeah, Brady's moved up to 3rd after starting pretty far back in the pack, so see him kind of find his rhythm and get up front. Oh, as it looks like Jackson's been sent around. Multiple cars involved. They're wrecking in the field. Looks like Matthew's trying to save it late, but a couple of cars involved there, and we're going to have to check the Pulse Poppers instant replay and see what happened with that incident. But multiple cars did go around. It's like Jackson just gets hooked in 3 and 4, and a lot of guys just along for the ride. Ooh, late hit there for looks like Keller Jr., I think, as well.
Yeah, that was just, you're not clear. Sorry. I should have lifted, but I didn't. So, racing deal right there. Yeah, it's a bad deal for the guy that came in and got some, but straight hook. And there we go. Boom. One of the faster cars of the day. Yep, Hess.
Yeah, it looks like your pick has some damage. These drivers do have one faster pair for tonight's race, but Keller Jr., getting hit as well by the truck coming back down is kind of an unfortunate way for his night to be going.
Yeah, a lot of times you get more damage out of that than you do from just, the casual contact and the spin. So unfortunate there, but we'll see if he can get it fixed all up and get back in it.
Yeah, that's our first actual natural caution of the race so far. It just kind of an interesting thing to see, though. Drivers, pushing it on the restart. You expect this to happen, and when you come to these mile and a half restarts, cautions can breed caution. So hopefully, the drivers all realize, hey, we can still kind of mess up here, and everyone relaxes, takes a deep breath, and we can get to the end of stage 2 without any further incidents.
Yeah, speaking of that, one thing we didn't talk about in these long races, a lot of times in our races, it has come down to green flag stops. This is not a terrible difficult, pit lane to get to, but you have to carry a lot of speed coming in there or you lose time. So we may get to see later in the race how these guys handle that.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, one of my Vegas victories came because of a green flag stop where, you just kind of cycle out to the lead, and if you can hold them off, I mean, that's how you get it done. Similar strategy is what allowed me to win at National Super Speedway in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series this year. So I think we're doing really well in how these, at least in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series, making these green flag stops work. But we'll have to see if these guys get the opportunity tonight in stage 3, and if they do, how well they handle it.
Yeah, that's the part that surprised me as we started the league and things, is how good guys were on and off pit road. You can literally lose 4 or 5 seconds, I mean, in a blink of an eye. But the good guys always seem to bring it through, hold position, or gain.
Yeah, I would say the only times where I think we've ever had issues in green flag stops was at Atlanta, now Super Speedway, in my opinion. Sometimes communication is a little bit more key, especially at the drafting tracks when getting on and off pit row, when you have to come as a group so you don't lose laps. Obviously, that didn't work very well. As we're going through the order here, as we got Huck Whittington, one of our regulars here in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series, and hopefully in the NRE Power Systems Truck Series, as our good old Tennessee mate with his, looks like, Star Wars helmet on with his sim rig. But he brings in a lot of sponsors and friends of the league. Obviously, Starbase Comics has come in thanks to his help, and a bunch of others. So we're really thankful for what Huck's done for the league, and we look forward to hopefully seeing him getting up front and battling for the lead.
Oh, yeah. One of our biggest cheerleaders, biggest fans, and especially supporters. He's brought a lot of attention to us, so we want to thank him with everything we have. It's been great addition to the league.
For sure, and also just one of the nicest guys I think in the league that we have. I mean, Huck's just a real stand-up guy, drives around everyone respectfully, just one of the best dudes, and doesn't try to get in a fight. He's never gonna make anyone's lives miserable. That's for sure.
No, he understands if he doesn't have the vehicle that day, he gets out of the way, and if he does, he gets the Ryan Newman Award. He is extremely hard to pass.
That is extremely true, as we saw when he stayed out on a caution at National Super Speedway. He was not an easy guy to pass at all, but that honestly makes it a lot of fun.
Yep, he makes car real wide. Well, we're getting back to double file here. Looks like the lights are off. We're getting ready to go. Do you expect Lumpkin to jump out to the big lead again? I kind of do. I think he's got it timed up real good with the guys right now.
With the restart zone, it has, I will say, narrowed the gaps on how much of a jump that lead truck does get on these restarts in iRacing, but I think he'll still get enough of a gap to be clear going into 1 and 2 and not have to worry at all. Brad Wetzel's really got to be concerned, though, about that truck sitting 4th on the outside. Dan Matthews has worked his way back up into the top 5 after that earlier incident where he had to save a truck after getting almost sent by Ricky Allen. So Matthews is going to be looking to try to get to the lead. So Brady and Wetzel on the bottom are going to have to kind of be aware of how big of a run he may get.
Totally agree, because the 3 leaders that we had earlier are now 4, 5, 6. So we're going to have something interesting right here.
And these drivers are hungry, that's for sure, and everyone wants to win, especially when there's a broadcast on. So we'll see how these drivers take it, but they do have to realize we have one more stage break before we can race to the end. As we coming here into the Geico restart zone, as Justin Lumpkin leads the field, and he'll get a great start again. Clear Brad Wetzel coming into 1 and 2, it looks like, but not a great start for Dan Matthews. I thought he'd get maybe a better jump. It looks like Brady LaBeouf's able to clear and get up in front, but Matthews may look to the inside here on 1 and 2.
Yep. Right in a straight line there, Lumpkin staying on the high line. Seeing the run coming from Wetzel on the bottom. I would expect Wetzel to go ahead and take the lead here momentarily. and then we'll see what happens with the tire wear, as always, again.
Yeah, fresh tires, and this kind of happened on the initial start of the race for Lumpkin. He ran the high side and kind of just let the drivers go through. But, late in that run, he was able to get by them all again. So we'll have Wetzel and Matthews go 1-2 to the point. Lumpkin drops to third. Brady will stay in fourth as all these other drivers. It looks like Tony Brent actually is going to try and take fourth over Brady LaBeouf here and coming off of two. And he is clear.
Yeah, Tony Brent's been very fast running. He's hooked the bottom all night. You see him once again to the bottom. I would expect him to get a run on Lumpkin, do the same thing. Lumpkin seems to be concerned with the tires, staying up high. Big push coming right now from Matthews to Wetzel. And once again, let's see if he gets aero tight coming out of the corner. Both of them run the middle line.
If you're Matthews, considering maybe working with Wetzel to get away from Lumpkin, knowing that Lumpkin has that long run speed, or does it not matter at this point because we still have a stage break to go?
Well, to me, if I know a guy's fast, I like to just follow along for a while, see if they'll make a mistake. Maybe that's the wrong strategy, but I like to do that as long as my truck's working well and I'm not pushing. I would get in line and see if I could run away.
As it looks like Matthews has come back up into the lead, but Curtis Rogers has gained 12 positions from starting back in 19th. I mean, definitely a driver that has moved through the field, relatively kept his truck clean, and good to see him making his way to the front as he's going to put Brady LaBeouf and Ricky Allen under fire, try to get into that top five.
Yeah, this action happening about 9/10 behind the leader. Got Brent, LaBeouf, all those guys. Yeah, I can't see his name out of the way, that white truck. Yeah, Curtis. He has a preferred line on, Brady just took that away, but has the preferred line with the new tires. Should be able to make a few moves here.
He got really tight there as you saw in those bumps. He kind of saw the rear end of that truck bounce up and down. He got really tight when Brady took his line entering 1 and 2, and he's probably very frustrated with that.
Yeah, that's the aero push we talk about. The air goes away from the front, tires get light, and up the track you go.
And it's definitely something that these drivers have to contend, especially have a really long green flag run to the end of this race. And though, as you said earlier, the temps aren't necessarily hot, the tire wear shouldn't be that bad. Do you maybe see drivers taking a gamble, taking right sides only on a green flag stop late in the race, or maybe even just gas only and hoping that those tires hold off? Or has that fall off been significant enough that you think you have to come and get 4 tires?
Well, from what I saw with Lumpkin coming from 6th right to the front, you might get a taker or two with 2 tires, but I think 4 is always going to prevail, even later on in the stage.
As we see, drivers are battling really hard from second on back, but Dan Matthews has opened up a little bit of a gap here to second and third as they are side by side off the corner. I'd call it about 2 to 3 truck lengths for Dan Matthews.
Yeah, you notice right there, Tony Brent just sent it into 1. His truck must feel real good right now. I expect him to do away with Wetzel here pretty quick. He really sent it in last time.
Yeah, as you saw, he got a little bit tight there on 3 and 4, and he could not keep that run off the corner. His trucks are going to go single file for the first 3, but it looks like Lumpkin's going to fall back to 5th. I mean, just a really, really good run there for Rogers.
Yeah, I like what Rogers is doing, utilizing the draft, taking a spot when he can, not pushing the issue. I'd like to see Brent do the exact same thing, stay in the draft, not push it, and see what happens later in the stage here, as we've got about 11 laps to go before the end. I don't think tire wear will be as much now with the caution we had, so you'll see Lumpkin and LaBeouf making a push momentarily.
As well, Rogers has made his move there on Brent. He's trying to get it to stick, but I don't think he's going to have. He doesn't have the draft down the back stretch, and unless he side drafts aggressively, which he doesn't, he's just going to have to hope for a really solid 3 and 4 to get him in front. But he gets a little bit tight, comes up the racetrack. Oh, and that's going to be really close off 4, but they keep it clean.
Yeah, he's fighting it a little bit now, and that'll bring Lumpkin right back into the battle. LaBeouf will be right behind. Matthews just doing a really good job utilizing that middle line. I think he's learned a little something. You see him enter high, come off like mid-low. Really good line, not getting any push off of 1. Doing a great job.
You see the comparison of lap times between Brent and Rogers. I mean, Rogers had been gaining ground, but the last lap around, I mean, he lost about 300ths there, but should be gaining more again this lap as he's pulled almost level with Brent on Custom Stripe. And yeah, I mean, these 2 trucks are fighting. Yeah, and he gained almost a 10th again that lap. So, I mean, And now we have Brent and Lumpkin. Lumpkin's moving forward, and LaBeouf and Allen are also right here to pounce as these drivers get more and more racy at the end of stage 2.
Yeah, I think if Rogers had a dancing partner, he'd go straight to the front. That'll help right there with Brent cutting down. That should, he couldn't hold it. Way too tight. But if he could have stayed down there, he would have had to run on Wetzel.
I think that's the first time that Rogers has really had a truck in his preferred line in 3 and 4. So we see Brent finally using the apron there in the tri-oval to try and get by Wetzel. Still not clear in 1 and 2. He's going to try and hope to hook the bottom. Gets a little tight there. May be able to side draft and get that run going down into 3 and 4.
And Matthews just loving this. Keep looking in the mirror, see him side by side, and I will drive away, he says. Which he is, because he's out to a 4/10 of a second lead. Wetzel really good run off the top right there.
And Brent got tight again, it looks like. It seems like these trucks who have been more aggressive with the passes early on are really struggling to hook that bottom now. And really what that's allowing to do is allowing Matthews and Wetzel to pull away. And this was a big pack as we ride on board with Brady LaBeouf, really trying to hook that white line. He hooked it really well there. Problem is he just doesn't have anywhere to go. He's almost boxed in. He doesn't want to take anyone 3 wide at this point in the race.
And we see Rogers running the high side now off the bottom. Doing a really good job. Should see him get a good run right here. Good middle line. Brady to the apron. We're about to go 3 wide. We'll see who gives.
It looks like Lumpkin backed out of it, saw that it was not worth it that early, as Brady's going to try to hook that bottom again. But he has a really shallow entry. He's going to wash up that track a little bit.
Yeah, it came in a little bit too low right there. And, of course,
it looks like Brent may have hit the wall there.
Yeah, I imagine Lumpkin just had a little change of pants.
As these drivers are getting more and more racy, we still only have about 6-7 laps to the end of stage 2, and then we have a whole 75 more laps to do it for the win here tonight. I mean, if you're one of these drivers, maybe in 7th or 8th, the Jonathan Wiley or looks like we have Rogers back there, different Rogers. Are you saying, this isn't for me, maybe backing out of there, not worth damaging a car, especially if there's no points involved?
Yeah, I know I would. Because, like I said, every time I've raced Vegas, it looks like this most of the race. We're side by side. And it gets you a little nervous, so why not back it down? You still got 80 laps to go and see what you can do later on.
As you see Lumpkin now starting to make his move towards the front on the inside of Brent, but it may be too little too late for him to win both stages as Matthews has really checked out to a nice lead there. I mean, call it 5-6 truck lengths over Wetzel, half a second. And the field just kind of fighting behind.
Yeah, he's a half a second ahead. Lumpkin has 1 second to make up. Going to be probably too little too late at this point.
As you saw, that gap was starting to build more and more as it looks like Wetzel gaining a little bit of time back, but when he loses time, it's almost 1/10 a second. I mean, he lost almost another full 10th there to Matthews. Matthews still kind of hovering around that half-second lead, half second to 6/10, but there's a big pack back there for third, and they are battling hard.
Yeah, and we see a lesson to be learned right here for everybody. Once the leader takes off, if you're racing side by side, he just takes off more. These guys need to get organized, and they need to chase him down, or all they're going to see is tailgate the rest of the night.
I think another thing we learned is the trucks who made passes aggressively early, like Brent and Rogers, who made moves, they've really just struggling and have really more just been hanging on the latter half of this stage, using up their stuff, it seems, and they're coming under fire from drivers like Brady LaBeouf and Justin Lumpkin.
Yep, that's another key to racing, in my opinion, just race craft. Every time you make a pass, you're using up more tire than the other guy, so eventually they come back and get you unless you're just that fast.
As these drivers are battling tight here, but Brady LaBeouf and Justin Lumpkin have both gone around Rogers, and they have set their sails on to Brent and Wetzel, but it looks like Matthews has run away with this stage here, still a half a second lead, and he only has about a lap and a half left.
Yeah, Wetzel doing a good job to keep pace, but he's just not being able to gain, still half a second. Also, Brent is 0.97 behind, so Matthews clear sailing on the final lap here for the stage.
As Matthews still has about 4, he leads sunk about 1/10 of a second there in the last 2 laps, or last lap, but still, I mean, a commanding 4/10 of a second lead, and looks like Lumpkin made the pass there on Brent back there for third.
Yeah, something happened here. Wetzel really made up ground there.
Yeah, Matthews may just be kind of coasting here. I'm not really sure what's going on with that 38 truck, but Wetzel has gained over a tenth just on the first half of that lap alone. Maybe Matthews forgot that the stages are called at the end of 30 laps and not when the 30th lap begins.
That's very, very possible. It's happened to myself.
As you saw, 2/10 made up in 2 laps there by Wetzel and Matthews, or maybe just Wetzel got that draft again and had the fast truck. But stage 2, your winner is Dan Matthews, and that stage is brought to you by Millie's Catering. And I know, Michael, you can really speak to Millie's Catering down there in Daytona Shores. May have lost Mike there, but Millie's Catering down in the Daytona Beach area. Just
Sorry
one of
about
our.
that.
No, you're good. I was worried we had lost you for a second, but catering down in the Daytona Beach area, obviously one of our sponsors here, Nazareth 360, and for the Power Systems Truck Series, and appreciate all you do. And I know I love good seafood, especially when I go down towards Daytona, go down for the races. So one of probably the best seafood restaurants available in the area. They do request though that you call ahead or book through their website to get a table. Just because they are extremely busy and extremely popular. But I mean, one of the best places to dine in that Daytona Beach area.
Yeah, and the reason I was lost there, I'm bad enough I dropped my reed, so we'll do it now. If you're in that area, try Millie's Restaurant. It's been dedicated to serving their customers with the freshest, locally sourced, chef-quality food since 2017. No matter the time of year, it's guaranteed you'll be enjoying the best of the season. They offer indoor and outdoor dining options, and it's strongly recommended for reservations by either calling 386-275-1492 or by using www.resy.com.
You see pit stops coming here at the end of stage 2. Drivers trying to get themselves in good position. Matthews into his box. He's going to try and hopefully come back out with the lead. I mean, track position has proved pretty paramount there. The drivers generally starting up in front, and the restarts stay up front. So hoping that these drivers can continue what they're doing, and we'll have a nice long run here to the end.
Yep, and coming out of the pits, we'll see Matthews, Wetzel, Lumpkin, Brent, LaBeouf all holding position. So fast trucks right in a good spot. This should be fun.
Sorry about that. Just trying to work with our producer on getting something pulled up for me. But let's try and reach out to Brady LaBeouf, our in race reporter, for his thoughts on stage 2, which seemed pretty chaotic there back in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, that one was a little bit wilder. I guess it's because I was up there in the front more than I was the first stage. But these guys are definitely racing. We're definitely enjoying it. Hopefully, we're putting on a good show for you guys.
Yeah, Brady, everybody looked like they went a little harder because of the caution in the middle. Did the truck get a little tighter than you expected toward the end of the run?
It started to. I think I was kind of my good buddy Justin Lumpkin. I was following him a little bit and taking a page out of his book. I kind of eased the back with him, and then I could tell we had a little bit more tire than the rest of them. We just ran out of laps there at the stage, but the tire wear was a lot better on that run for me personally. So hopefully I can continue to keep those good numbers and make a good green flag pit stop here in this final stage.
Yeah, we
As you
talked.
speak of it,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. I was going to say, as you speak to that green flag stop, what's your strategy going to be coming into this? Are you going to try to be that first driver on pit road, or are you going to wait for someone else to make that move first?
Well, doing these races, I always say that the first one that's within the lead pack always has a jump on the competition because it gets to go out there and run a lap or two full speed. So I'm going to try to jump them. I'm going to go sooner than the rest of them. Hopefully, I've got a number picked out for myself. So hopefully it works out for me.
Of course, and we'll let you keep that strategy to yourself. But we really do appreciate you taking time to talk to us in the booth, and we hope that you have a clean entry and exit onto that pit road here in this final stage.
Appreciate it. You guys enjoy.
We will. Thank you again. As we come into this final stage, though, it'll be about, looks like 70 laps when we go green again. Dan Matthews will lead the field with Justin Lumpkin in second. When we have Tony Brett third. Fourth will be Brady LaBeouf. Fifth, we'll have Ricky Allen in that Chevrolet. Sixth, we should have Brad Wetzel. Seventh will be Curtis Rogers. And eighth, it looks like we have Tristan Rogers. That's not going to be confusing at all. Ninth will be Kyle Hess, and rounding out your top 10 here, it looks like we have Jason Stevenson. A couple other drivers to keep note of is Curtis Jackson and Jonathan Wiley sitting there in 11th and 12th, as well as Keller Jr. sitting there, it looks like, in 13th. Obviously, all these drivers are still have a chance at this, especially if you had a clean truck all night, and if you've saved your fast repair, you will definitely have a chance late in the going if we have a late race restart.
Yep, 16 trucks still on the lead lap, with Jim Deere being the only driver one lap down. So if we get an early caution, he'll be able to get to a lucky dog, come around, get himself back on the lead lap.
And that's really important to note. Like, only having one truck one lap down is a kind of a nice thing for Deere, as he doesn't really have to be as concerned. But if we have a long green flag run and we have green pit stops, he may have to kind of race a little bit harder in case a couple other drivers go a lap down.
Yeah, he needs to improve his positioning a little bit if possible. I don't know if anybody will go a lap down right here. If everybody's got the speed, well, we'll see. I'm not going to say that. And here we go.
Dan Matthews with a late start in the Geico restart zone, it looked like. It did not get going. Lumpkin able to hold even with him. Maybe Matthews was just napping when he got restart zone, but we have drivers 2 by 2 by 2 entering 1 and 2. I mean, just a blanket over the front six right there.
Yeah, Tony Brent with the big push. Brady showing his leadership there. He could have took it 3 wide and backed out. So we'll see if this outside lane can do anything with the inside early.
And it looks like they won't be able to, though, as Lumpkin's going to fall back at least to third, maybe even a fourth if Ricky Allen has anything to say about it. As Curtis Rogers there sitting in the 5th position. LaBeouf, Brady falling all the way back to 6th. So that outside lane, I mean, Lumpkin and Brady going from 2nd and 4th to 1st and 6th, losing 2 positions each.
Yeah, it's good to see Allen back up there after the early contact. We know he had a fast truck, so really good to see him back in the mix.
I'm interested to see how Tony Brent does here with a little bit more clean air. I mean, this is the best positioning he's had all night, sitting here second behind Matthews. I hope we see a little bit more patience out of him, as we saw kind of early in stage 2. He's super aggressive, and then just the truck kind of fell off there late. So we'll see if he has anything for Matthews or if he decides to keep it relaxed and settle in for the long haul.
Yeah, for the guys that are not used to these long runs, they have to take care of the equipment here. I mean, this stage is longer than the first 2 combined. So if they don't, they're going to be in a really bad situation.
You see, though, those front 2 have kind of separated themselves a little bit from Ricky Allen sitting there in 3rd. I mean, almost 4/10 from Brent in 2nd to Allen in 3rd. So it's interesting to see if maybe these 2 drivers will work together and try to push themselves away from the field.
Yeah, that's what we talked about early. They picked up a 10th again on that lap. We're going to find out here real soon if they're going too hard or if this is just part of the game plan.
And I think if you're Justin Lumpkin sitting there in 4th, you're going to have to work with Ricky Allen. But Brady LaBeouf looking to the inside of Lumpkin says, I'm not waiting right now. I want to move. As maybe he's a little frustrated with how some of these other drivers are racing and not going hard enough and letting these 2 get away.
Yeah, he said he had good tire numbers. The crew chief showed him and told him to go, I guess. We're going to find out.
As Brady gets a nose ahead of Lumpkin, but not enough to clear him coming off of 2. He's going to be in no man's land with no drafting off on the backstretch, but should get a good run here in 3 and 4.
Yeah, if he can clear Lumpkin here, there you go. He'll be okay. He had a real chance of getting stuck on the bottom for a couple laps there.
And that would have just destroyed his tires, I think, and would have put him in a bad position. But he does not want to sit behind Allen, as we see an 8/10 of a second gap from 2nd to 3rd, and that gap may continue to grow as Brady battles Allen for 2nd or for 3rd.
Yeah, Brady pushing much harder this time. Allen doing a great job on the outside there to keep the momentum, which, as we know in the trucks, the momentum is king. I'm just interested to see if they do try to go 44, 48 laps. That'll be somewhere in the fuel window. If someone tries to push it that far, I want to see what it really does to the truck.
As we said, 43 to 48 laps is the fuel window for these drivers tonight. So if they get to around lap 95, that's 40 laps. So they could go probably anywhere from about lap 89 to 95 and make it to the end. But it's gonna be a little bit sketchy, I think, for some of these drivers, especially for maybe Dan Matthews, who doesn't have anyone to draft off of and will burn fuel at a much higher rate.
Yeah, he's burning much more fuel than Brent right at the moment. I do love the line. He's above the bumps. It's a preferred line at night, and I've never raced there today. I'm just being honest, so I'm excited to see that racing about the same way.
So Ricky Allen has kind of bridged the gap. He has separated himself from Brady LaBeouf in fourth, and he's actually pulled in on the front two. So I would say we have a lead pack of 3, and then about half a second to 6/10 back to Brady LaBeouf, Justin Lumpkin sitting in fourth and fifth. I mean, if these 3 drivers work together and pull away, they may be in a race of their own for the.
Yeah, that would be the smart play, but as we see right away, Allen going to the bottom. If he stays in line there, to me, is their best shot to get away at this point.
Yeah, but Allen, I think, after catching that front pair so quickly, maybe thinking he has that preferred truck and maybe the fastest truck on track, he's going to try and get around Brent as quickly as he can and maybe even try to get around Matthews. But sitting here side by side for as long as they are is only going to allow Brady to pull up closer.
Yeah, you'll see Brady and you'll see Lumpkin, Wetzel, Rogers. They'll all come into mix if they stay side by side more than a couple laps.
But, I mean, point is to be made. As you can see, the last 4 laps, Allen's been over a tenth faster, sometimes even 2.5 tenths faster than Brent. But he got up on them and he got in that dirty air, and it looks like that speed has kind of worn off. And looks like Brady LaBeouf is closing that gap as we can kind of see him just sneaking into the picture on the right.
Yeah, I think Allen hit the bubble there right behind him. He was probably far enough behind before to get the big pull down the straights, pull up on the bumpers, but now he's finding out that the dirty air is too hard to puncture through right now.
Yeah, Brady gaining 4/10 on that last lap alone kind of shows just how much that dirty air is affected. And maybe it's just Matthews kind of controlling the pace, saving his own tires, maybe even saving a little bit of fuel to try to hit a number that he prefers. Maybe he's slowing down these 2 in second and third, but they just can't get around him because of the dirty air he creates.
Yeah, I'm expecting everyone to come around lap 100. Split this thing right in the middle, 35 and 35. That's where I would expect it. So they're not going much longer than the first 2 stages, but a little longer. So smart move by Allen, in my opinion. Get in line, pull away as far as you can before the pit stop.
Yeah, I think, as these drivers kind of continue on to this stage, they should be able to get, the single file we're seeing works as Brady has bridged that gap, but that gap actually seems to have grown behind Brady LaBeouf. We may have a 4-truck race on our hand. I mean, looks like Justin Lumpkin may be getting stuck behind some of these slower drivers over a second between Brady LaBeouf and Brad Wetzel in fifth.
Yeah, they pulled out to a second. And as we've discussed, as guys go side by side behind trying to make positions, the leaders pull farther and farther away. And you see Brady took a look but didn't quite make it to happen. But these guys are doing the right thing now. Get in line, try to keep up.
Yeah, it's that gap I think we have to really monitor is that gap between fourth and fifth, and Wetzel is really seeming to slow Lumpkin down. Lumpkin can maybe get by Wetzel, maybe he can bridge that gap, but if sitting in that traffic, he may not be able to, as we see Brady gain of over a tenth of a second a lap on Wetzel in fifth.
Yeah, the front 4 are gaining about a tenth of a second a lap on the next group. And this will hurt it a little bit as we go side by side with Allen. But they've been able to put 10th after 10th after 10th, and I would have kept doing it myself, but I'm not in the truck.
For sure, and I think this would be the time where you're screaming over the driver chat to the front 4, get in line, let's work together so they can't get back in this. But that's still second and a tenth is kind of holding. Those front 4 trucks are still fast, even if they go side by side, it seems.
Yeah, I think you're right. It seems Wetzel is not running the line that maybe Lumpkin likes or Hess or any of those guys. And they're going to have to make an adjustment or these guys are going to walk away.
Yeah, it looks like even Dan Matthews is kind of walking away from Tony Brent and Ricky Allen in second and third there. I mean, if Matthews can pull away, that kind of gives him that leeway to do whatever he wants pit strategy-wise and kind of be able to cover off any moves behind him.
Well, Tyler, do you think Brent has hit that wall again with the tires? I mean, we're only on lap 16, but He has been very aggressive all night. If he's hitting that wall a little bit, he could be holding up the other two behind.
It's extremely possible, and I think he's taking a little bit too shallow of an entry into 3 and 4 personally for my taste. Maybe he needs to let the tires relax a little, but it also doesn't help. He looks like he's trying to mirror Dan Matthews' line in 1 and 2, and at that bubble where he's at a couple tenths behind, he has to be a little bit offline from Matthews to, I think, keep those tires relaxed. Ricky Allen's going to jump to the outside and look here for second.
Yeah, I think Allen won't get it done here, but he will off of 1 and 2 if he can pinch him down a little bit. It's probably the right move. As you said, the longer he stays in Matthews' tire tracks, I mean,
Allen hits the wall. That's a huge mistake there from Allen. I mean, he looks like he tried to run high. That's a huge mistake. And that's going to really slow up Wetzel, too. He's going to have to lift here in the middle of 1 and 2. And Lumpkin might get a massive run down the back straightaway to take over what will be fourth.
Yeah, a little too close to the sun there. Just, I think he wanted to go in really hard, get the run off when he probably should have backed it out just a bit.
Looks like Tony Brent also had a massive issue coming off of 2. It looks like Brady LaBeouf will take over second place. I mean, we'll have to... Not really sure what happened there as we were distracted by Ricky Allen just scraping the wall, entering 1 and 2. But Brady LaBeouf 7 tenths faster than Brent in that lap, getting by him for second place.
Yeah, an obvious mistake made. I guess we just weren't able to see it, and then that's bringing Wetzel and Lumpkin right back up to Brent.
Yeah, as these trucks are more evenly spaced and the gap is going to be under a second between each of these sets of trucks, they are going to come together, I think, if they get enough of a tow. The only thing is, I don't know if Brent has the truck to catch up to Brady, and if he holds Wetzel and Lumpkin back, it may allow Brady and Matthews to really escape from everyone else.
Yeah, there's 7 tenths right now. I'm paying real close attention to this to see if they do have the pace. 3 trucks should be faster than, the first 2 that are separated, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Something seemed off with Matthews. He may have gotten loose there off of 1 and 2. He was really low on the back straightaway, and LaBeouf had an excellent run on that back stretch and has really closed up, 2 tenths that lap alone. Not really sure what happened to our leader there, but maybe these trucks are kind of slowly going away here on this run.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way. We wondered when they jumped out to that early lead if they were going too fast, and it seems that is absolutely the case as Brady is really closing the gap.
I think Brady may have currently the best truck on the track, and if that's the case, I think in my opinion, you want to use that to your advantage for as long as you can, and maybe he'll hold off on his pit strategy he was telling us about during the stage break.
Yeah, he's obviously got the best truck at this moment. You can see him just pull right to the bumper. This will show that if he can get a little lower, there you go, as you said, get a little clean air on the front, and then get this tow down the back. Just a really smart driving by Brady.
Yeah, you saw him hit a little bit of that bump on the left front. Maybe he didn't give him the best exit possible, but it still wasn't a bad exit at all. Although this corner is going to hurt him. He's going to get aero tight. You're going to see he's going to finish way higher than Matthews on the track, but still get a really nice run down the front stretch.
Yeah, you can do that for a little bit, but you continue to do that, and that corner will bite you.
As I think we're getting really close to that fuel window. I mean, if they stretch it, I think they could come any lap now. But, I mean, I would wait till about lap 93. I think I'll be most comfortable in hitting my number, especially as these trucks are getting more and more spaced out.
Well, and I agree. And if this is a normal NASCAR race, there'll be 2 green-white checkers, so you want to make sure you got fuel for that.
For sure, but, I mean, Brady clearly is showing he has the speed right now in that truck, and it looks like Wetzel has come into 3rd and Lumpkin in 4th, so Brent has been passed by Wetzel and Lumpkin both, and he's fallen all the way back to 5th, Allen back to 6th. Hess is sitting in 8th, though, so he hasn't really gained or lost as these trucks are kind of getting more and more spaced out, but definitely interesting to see how they all approach this pit strategy here in the closing laps.
Yeah, we've seen the gap grow to 1.3 between the first 2 trucks and the group behind. This will help. If they get in a fight, you could bring them back in, but Brady being very smart, running in the tire tracks, obviously has a little better truck, and he knows it.
Yeah, as it looks like Wetzel may be having a much easier time than Lumpkin. Maybe Lumpkin getting in that traffic for as long as he was kind of burned up stuff and has really seemed to hurt his truck, as we seem to be having a couple of internet issues back there with Tony Brent. He blinked out for a second, but he is back in, which is good. Hopefully he doesn't get manually disconnected, as we hope to keep him around for the end of this race.
Well, and that may be what hurt him earlier when we didn't know what happened. We know that disconnecting can really hurt your speed, so that could be a possibility of what happened earlier.
As you see, Wetzel really running a good line, but it looks like we may have a side-by-side battle for the lead up, as it looks like Brady LaBeouf has gotten around Dan Matthews around the high side. Just a really good example of really clean, smooth, consistent driving from Brady LaBeouf there.
Yeah, you're probably going to see him drive away here, try to gap it as much as possible before his pit stop. He knows the tire wear now, so I'm going to say your pick's looking pretty good. He seems to be in complete control of his truck tonight.
But as we all know, green flag stops can be the bearer of bad news if you make mistakes getting on pit road or off of pit road. I mean, I've seen drivers miss pit road here at Vegas completely. I've seen drivers speed, miss their stalls. So Brady still has a lot of work to do to bring this one home, but he is looking really good in the catbird seat right now as he's pulled over 7/10 of a lead on Dan Matthews, who's really seeming to struggle right now.
Yeah, like we said before, the key to this is you have to carry a lot of speed on the pit road, but the line comes quickly. So you got to get it woed down, get it in the proper gear, and get down at 55 miles an hour. Right here, you'll see where Brady's going by. You're almost wide open before you come in, and then you drop it down. We'll see how many guys can negotiate it, as Matthews seems to be really falling off the cliff.
And that transition, I think, is also something that doesn't get talked about enough. There is a pretty significant transition from the banking down onto pit road. These drivers are going to have an interesting time dealing with, but Brady has already opened up a 1.2 second lead, it seems, over Dan Matthews in second, and looks like Wetzel is there and should, I think, make this move rather quickly to get into second place.
Yeah, I agree. It seems Matthews has lost the front end of the truck. Here's the big run coming. Wetzel should be able to dispose of him here fairly quickly in turn 1 and 2.
And that's going to allow Lumpkin to get a really nice run here off of 4. He'll try to make this move as well as quickly as possible around Dan Matthews, but it looks like he is not going to be able to do it into 1 and 2, so he'll look to do it hopefully into 3 and 4 as Wetzel barely clears himself off of 2.
Slide job. That was nicely executed. And Matthews is
a crossover.
Yeah, the big crossover and then run him up the track a little bit. Just hard racing.
And that's going to give Lumpkin a really nice run off of 4. It's just, he's got to, I think, go with Wetzel and help push Wetzel clear of Matthews. And Wetzel is clear of Matthews entering 1 and 2 here.
Yeah, he should be able to have an easy time of it. Now, you see Matthews up the track a little bit, trying to force Lumpkin higher and higher, but he's going to have the momentum. He should take care of him himself.
And I think we'll see Wetzel actually close the gap to Brady. I think Wetzel actually does have the best truck now that Brady, I think, has kind of used his tires up. And it looks like Matthews is coming down pit right here. Matthews looks like he will be pitting for a fresh set of tires as he's going to get low down to 55 miles an hour before that yellow cone and try to have a nice clean stop here.
And that's what we talk about. As you see him enter, he got woed down a little bit too soon. And I'm going to bet the gap's bigger when Brady comes down. It seems he was a little slow between the yellow line and the cone.
As he got off of the racing surface, I would say really early in 3 and 4, maybe slide through his stall a little bit. It's going to make his crew a little apprehensive to get going on that truck. But as you can attest, Mike, how you get into box and how cleanly and straight and directionally based you are as Ricky Allen coming in for his stop, that does actually affect your pit stop time because the crew doesn't work until they can figure out a way to get around your cars. It looks like Cody Sanderson, and we may have had a wreck there on the front stretch trying to get onto pit road. Caution is not out yet. Jonathan Wiley on the pit road, but it looks like Sanderson may have gotten involved in some contact. Allen now coming in for his stop.
Yeah, I thought I saw a truck in the grass right there in front of him. I'm not sure if I did. It might have been Wiley, but yeah, that was a little bit
Sanderson with some significant damage to the rear and the front of that truck as Justin Lumpkin is now on pit road. LaBeouf with a 1.5 second lead over Wetzel. LaBeouf with the first truck to pit road, and I think that's going to maybe come back to bite him as we have about 35 laps to go coming up.
Yeah, right now is when I expected Brady to come down. We did not talk about it, but he is one of those guys that's great with strategy.
And he is coming in here now.
Right here.
And Wetzel will inherit the lead, it looks like, as Brad Wetzel will get to the front of the pack here, but he still has to make his stop. But as we saw, it looked like there was a little bit of contact with some trucks getting on pit road. Maybe he's hoping for a caution here as this pit cycle plays out.
Yeah, just unclear exactly what happened, but apparently he must have gotten the rear of someone that wowed down a little bit too soon, spun it around, got back to the track, and he's probably going to end up paying a price for it.
As we did stay green during that whole ordeal, as you see Brady gets 4 tires there. Huck Wington pulling into his stall ahead of Brady. It looks like another truck had come in. Brady racing off of pit road. This will be interesting, though. Lumpkin got onto pit road first. Will be interesting to see if he maybe comes out ahead of some of these leaders who are a little bit slower to get out.
Yeah, and on the voice chat, we were hearing everybody else getting ready to make their stop. There's Kyle Hess. I had heard him call for it. Charles Keller, he called for it. You expect everyone right here.
As Jason Stevenson is making his green flag stop here. Down to 55, painfully slow miles an hour, coming down as our leader, Brad Wetzel, is in.
That should allow, trying to see where everybody's placed, should allow Brady to re-inherit the lead once everyone comes through.
As we see some of these pit stop times, I mean, some people had some really fast stops. It looks like Jackson, he did pit, but I mean, a 10-second stop makes you think he only took right sides and gas. Same with Keller Jr., a 9.1 second stop. So interesting to see some of these drivers opting for an alternate strategy.
Yeah, and as I said before, I don't like the call. It may help for a little bit, but I don't think it's going to help in the long run, especially with how loose the truck may get and the drive off.
As it looks like of the drivers with 4 tire stops, Deere will be a lap down. He still has to make a pit stop as he started a lap down. As Brady LaBeouf has made his pass around Jim Deere, and looks like Dan Matthews is just barely ahead of Justin Lumpkin there for 5th and 6th.
Yeah, as everyone's starting to cycle through, it should come out with Brady and then Matthews and then Lumpkin. If the 2 tires don't work, as I said, if they do work, everybody's got a lot of making up to do.
Yeah, as you see, I mean, Lumpkin is 22 seconds back of our leaders currently. Brady is probably well over 10 to 15 seconds back once we get the timing and scoring loop here this time by.
Yeah, he's 18 seconds behind, but he picked up 1 full second on Jackson right there.
Yeah, as Brady, you see, sitting there in third. It looks like Jackson and Keller going for the 2 tires and enough fuel to get them to the end, while everyone else opting for 4 tires. Should be a fun race to the end.
Yeah, agreed. I like the strategy call, but it makes it interesting. The way this place eats them up, I just don't feel good about it.
We saw Michael Taylor coming off of pit road there, making a little bit of a later stop, but coming down to 30 laps to go. I mean, Kurt Jackson leading out front with Keller right behind him on 2 tires. It looks like Kurt Jackson's coming back in. Maybe he hadn't pit yet. Maybe something to keep note of. Maybe Keller also had not pitted. It looked like they had taken right sides only, but maybe they had just pitted for a splash of gas, or maybe they didn't get what they wanted out of their pit stop. So it looks like if Keller comes in soon, that Brady LaBeouf will cycle to the lead.
Yeah, it'll be Brady, Matthews, and it'll be Brady with a 6-second lead over Matthews once this cycles through.
And that is a rather significant lead, but definitely something that can be overcome, obviously, with a late race yellow.
Yeah, I mean, a caution changes everything, of course, but this goes back to the discussion of getting on and off pit road and how quickly you can lose time with that. And Brady apparently had a perfect pit stop.
And Brady is just eating away at that lead of Keller's. I mean, he'll probably be there in the next handful of laps, over a second a lap, already under 15 seconds, and just continuing to chew away at that lead.
Yeah, he should show up pretty soon here. I'm just watching the times. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit off, but it's not going to be 6 seconds. It's going to be 3 seconds between Brady and Matthews. Matthews must have been getting up to speed about the same time.
It looks like Brady may have had some traffic to contend with, losing half a second to Keller there in the first half of that last lap. Traffic's going to be an interesting component here late in this race. Different drivers on different strategies. It's going to really affect how some of these guys are able to take lines in the corners. They won't be able to take their preferred line. And it's really just going to make it more and more difficult for the drivers as this race continues.
Yeah, we all know lap traffic is a big component and everything. As now the field is, really spread out. Lap traffic will be a major player real soon.
Yeah, as Keller clearly has to come in for a pit stop. I mean, 40 plus laps on this set of tires and fuel. I mean, he's running low on fuel. He's really praying for that caution to happen, but I don't think he's going to get it.
Now, he called for it just now through the voice chat, so we should see him make a stop right here on this lap.
It looked like he had maybe even run out of fuel there coming on the backstretch as he was really slowing off the pace earlier, maybe dangerously low on fuel. And oh, it looks like he's spun trying to get down to pit road speed and hit that inside wall.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Keller. Had a good run going. Oh, what's interesting to me is I'm watching. I don't know what Matthews is doing, but he is really digging into Brady's lead. He's got it down to 1.7. He is running as hard as he can.
I think part of that, though, it looked like I'm pretty sure Matthews came in a little bit later than Brady, but on top of that, he has Justin Lumpkin right behind him, kind of pushing him. I mean, now it's 9/10 of a second, but as we saw last stint, though, Mike, Matthews got off to a really hot start, but he faded really quickly in the back half of that run. So hopefully maybe he's learned his lesson, but if not, we could see him catch up to Brady, but not have the tires to get around him at the end.
Yeah, if he would back up just a touch, he would have 3 cars with him. Well, at least Lumpkin, as the timing and scoring is changing on me too fast. But, 2 is faster than 1 on this track, and that's going to be their only chance, I feel, to catch Brady at this point.
As you see, Brady dealing with a lot of lap traffic here and up ahead and trying to get around a bunch of different drivers. Looks like Stevenson there and was battling with, it looked like Huck Wingington at one point. 24 laps to go. Brady is just begging these lap trucks to get out of the way.
Yep, spotter in the ear. Get everybody out of the way. We got race to win. Boss man is looking good, though. Good tire wear for the evening. Good strategy. Good pit stop. Just performing real well.
Yeah, as you see, Matthews really closing the gap on laps 107, 108. I mean, gaining a full second in those 2 laps, but the last 2 laps around, he's lost about 0.3 of a second, and I think we're seeing that Matthews' tire wear fall off now as we're getting close to about 13 to 14 laps into this run here. Although he did gain a little bit back on that last lap.
Yeah, the tire wear is definitely coming into play. It's about 2 seconds from my scoring. I hope it's the same. And then Lumpkin is about 3 seconds off the lead, so Brady putting time on both those guys.
Yeah, as we see, though, there's a really big group of drivers, about 4th through 6th. 3 drivers, I think, well close to each other, starting with the 4th place truck of Wetzel. You have Kyle Hess right there, about 2 cents behind him, and then Rogers there, about another 10th behind him. So, I mean, there's still definitely battles going through, but right now, Brady LaBeouf has just kind of put his gap on the field and is kind of just riding.
Yeah, best battle on the track is Wetzel and Kyle Hess. They should be about nose to tail. That'll be the best one.
Yeah, as we're coming down to 21 laps to go this time by, I mean, right now it looks like we have 13 drivers on the lead lap. Cody Sanderson, that last truck on the lead lap, although he had that incident, looked like coming to pit road, had a damaged truck on the front and the back end. So, but he's been able to at least get back to that lead lap. But these drivers are kind of spaced out, but there's a few small battles happening throughout. As we look back here at Dan Matthews sitting in 2nd, he's kind of just been able to keep that gap maintained to Justin Lumpkin by about a second. Lumpkin sitting there in 3rd, not really able to gain much on Matthews or Brady. So here you have a nice battle for 4th place. Brad Wetzel right behind him is Kyle Hess. I mean, these 3 trucks are under a blanket, as you have Tristan Rogers behind Keller. The lap truck, stayed out a little bit longer than he's going to have the freshest tires of anyone on track, trying to get his lap back, but obviously spinning coming to pit road has probably ended his night, barring a late race caution.
Yeah, you see Wetzel, Hess, and Rogers, they'll be battling it out for 5th. Keller, like you said, fresher tires, easily going to make the pass. If he can get back to the lead lap, get up there, he will be the first. I think he's the first one to lap down.
He has to pass, it looks like, Stevenson to get to the first truck one lap down.
Got to pass the 19 truck. If he can get to there and we get a late race caution, that'll put him right back in the mix.
And he will have the freshest tires of anyone left in the field, and no one else will be able to gain a set of tires, as it looks like, I'm pretty sure every single driver has used their 3 additional sets, once in each stage break and then once in that green flag stop. So he will have significantly fresher tires in the field if he does get that late race caution.
Yeah, and that will mean big things and big dividends. But as for now, we see Matthews 1.8 behind Brady, Lumpkin 2.3. So Lumpkin is closing the gap on Matthews. We may have a battle for second here soon.
As we're looking now here at that Dan Matthews 38 machine with Justin Lumpkin right behind 87. But Keller, I mean, at lap truck, he's trying to get through these two real quick because he sees Stevenson up there crossing that start-finish line. And he's trying to get through very, very quickly.
Yeah, he may cause a problem for Lumpkin here. But if they both run this high line, maybe he can maintain.
As it looks like Matthews and Lumpkin will just let that faster truck go. No point in battling it, as it's just going to slow them both down. Keller's going to set his sights on that Stevenson machine, but this battle for second has definitely tightened up.
Yeah, Lumpkin run that little bit higher line, a little more momentum, a little more tire saving. Looked like Matthews got a little loose off the corner there and allowed Justin to really get to run.
And Lumpkin's going to make a move here, as we also have Wetzel's coming in, but Matthews hit bottoms out there on that inside. He's going to lose all his speed in the middle of that corner, and Wetzel looks like he was shot out of a cannon, might be able to make the move here for third.
Yeah, it looked like Matthews got loose entering. You don't see that very often, but now he's throwing the big block. Might not pay a dividend for him.
Yeah, that was a very risky move for not much reward, in my opinion, at this point in the race. Wetzel, though, has come alive recently. I mean, it looks like everyone's come alive. Brady LaBeouf is losing time to everyone in the top five, it seems. He also has that Keller machine on much fresher tires behind him, who's going to want to get through. Although Keller has already passed Stevenson, but Keller's looking to unlap himself and not have to rely on that lucky dog and start at the tail end of the line if we get a caution.
Yeah, do it the old-fashioned way. Just get the lap back. Don't worry about the lucky dog. Just now hope for the caution. You're right. Brady is getting reeled in.
Yeah, as Lumpkin has gained about a tenth a lap every lap, about 4 or 5, although he will lose about a tenth there on that last lap. So the lead is down to about 2.1 seconds. I mean, Lumpkin's going to have to gain well over a tenth a lap to reel in Brady before the checkered flag.
Yeah, and with Keller passing him there, that's only helping Brady get a little draft, get a little extra speed, and I'm sure it's helping him propel away.
As you see, also, Stevenson, a lap truck, is between Brady and Lumpkin, so that's also going to be something that we'll have to take note later on in this run. If Lumpkin can't get by that Stevenson machine, I mean, it's going to really hurt his chances. He's going to have to get by him quickly as these continue to go away more and more.
I'm seeing another battle for the top fives coming in. Looks like Hess is about to make the move on Matthews as well, move into the top five.
Yeah, Matthews, I think, again, and it looks like Hess has made that pass. Matthews really struggling. Matthews is coming down pit road. I think something is wrong with that truck, or he is just not like the way it is handling. He may be pulling off here, and his night may be over, as we have just under 12 laps remaining in this race.
Yeah, it seemed very, very loose out of nowhere. So hopefully he can figure out the problem and get back on.
We may have a battle for second, though, as Brad Wetzel has closed the gap to Justin Lumpkin to just under half a second. But Brady LaBeouf is continuing to pull away. But as we see there, Wetzel has closed that gap to Lumpkin considerably in the last 5 laps.
Yep, and the draft will come into play here. He should be able to get real close or reel him in within probably 2 or 3 laps.
As you see, the last 3 laps alone, he's gained about half a second. Before that, he may have lost a little bit of time, but he has now found that rhythm and that speed he wants to run. As it looks like Lumpkin get a little tight there off of 2, maybe had to get out of the gas, and Wetzel will get a nice run down that back straightaway.
Now, I just got the word from Matthews. I was sorry, I was listening on the side. He underestimated how far he could go on fuel, did not take enough under the pit.
And that's an unfortunate way for his night to end. I mean, and that may explain why his truck was so loose. It was just so light at that point in the run for the grip in his tires that truck just fell off a cliff, and that's going to be an unfortunate way for his night to end finishing wise. As Ricky Allen, though, has come back all the way from an early incident to settle into 5th place.
Yeah, right back into 5th. He's got Matthews passing him there. He'll get a little pull from him. Good run from everybody. You know, like I said, he made contact early in the race, stayed with it, which I like to see. A lot of guys get frustrated, they disconnect, but these guys racing it out. And like you said with Matthews, makes all the sense in the world. lost all the weight from the fuel, super loose, and just couldn't keep it under him.
As we're coming 9 laps to go, looking to be 8 laps to go really soon. This battle for second is heating up as we're going to ride on board with Brad Wetzel. Looking at the back of that Millie's Catering sponsor, Justin Lumpkin 87 machine, coming on the front stretch here, and just kind of really gives you a sense of what these drivers look at here in the one. It doesn't look super steep on the banking, but it is enough to really allow you to keep the pedal down throughout the corner.
And something interesting, with these two drafting like this, they picked up 2/10 on Brady right there. So I'm interested to see, well, nope, going to go for it. I wanted to see if they were going to stay hooked up and go for the win.
Yeah, Brady, though, only about a second and a half ahead, but there is only 8 laps to go, coming to 7 laps to go this time by. So, I mean, these drivers are going to have to do something really quick if they want to make a move.
Yeah, it's interesting. Lumpkin, one of the better tire savers, so I know he's probably got a great truck, but Brady really learned at Wetzel now going for second. This will hurt the chances to catch Brady, but why not? Go for it.
And for Wetzel, I mean, you're not racing for points, no playoffs you have to worry about. You're trying to get every position you can, and maybe he really does think he has the better chance of catching Brady if he gets around Lumpkin, as that lead is now grown almost to 2 seconds that lap alone. I mean, pulling almost 2 to 3 tenths for Brady there with these two racing side by side with 6 laps to go.
Yeah, he will clear Lumpkin here, and he will also get to draft off of Stevenson, so he has a really good truck. I just don't think he has quite enough time.
And Brady's going to have to take a really shallow entry into 3 and 4 because of the lap truck he's trying to put down another lap. He's going to swing really wide there in 3 and 4, but as well getting holed up by Stevenson, I mean, just an unfortunate situation there. Kind of caught him at a bad point in the track, and that's just going to slow these two down even more and will allow Brady to keep pulling away with 5 to go here in Vegas.
Yeah, they're racing side by side, and all the while Brady is now in clean, open air. You should see the gap grow.
Although Wetzel has the gap down to 1.4 seconds, but Brady during 3 and 4 here again. We'll see 4 laps left, but Wetzel with a huge gain that time of 0.4 of a second. Wetzel can put those laps together consistently. He may get to LaBeouf on that last lap.
Be very close.
But I think that other additional lap truck has slowed Wetzel down. And it looks like Brady LaBeouf. Oh, we have a caution with 4 to go, and that is the exact opposite of what Brady LaBeouf wanted to see. The caution lights are on here at Las Vegas. Unsure of what happened, but we'll have to check the Pulse Poppers instant replay and see, as it looks like an incident between Justin Lumpkin and 2 lap cars going 3 wide off of 4. And, oh, that's a rough wreck here. And Brady LaBeouf is probably the most unhappy driver you can be at this point in the race.
Yeah, certain win. No, just 3 wide. Somebody tried to swing up to get off the apron or something there and didn't realize the other truck was on the inside. Looked like Stevenson there.
Yeah, Stevenson a lap truck, Lumpkin in the middle of 3 wide of 2 lap trucks. I mean, yeah, it looks like Stevenson comes up and just a little bit of net code there, caught making it more worse than it was. I think if there wasn't any net code, maybe the drivers are close but able to keep it straight. But that's a rather unfortunately timed wreck, both for Lumpkin and for Brady LaBeouf.
Yeah, unfortunate, except for one person that loved it. And as we said before, who was the guy? I'm trying to look
Charles
at the names.
Keller.
Charles Keller.
He is the
New
freshest
tires.
tires of anyone in the field, was running the fastest laps of anyone in the field. But I think this is a huge break for Brad Wetzel. I mean, he was running down Brady. I think he is a slightly faster truck than Brady, but as we said, though, clean air really is king. If Brady can just block Wetzel's entry into each corner in these last 2 laps, I think he can win this race.
I agree, and the tire's cooling down. They should be able to stick it to the bottom fairly well. And then you got Kyle Hess right behind Brady here on the restart. He's a good pusher. He's going to go for it right here.
As you can see in the bottom, Wetzel 2 laps fresher tires than Brady. Brady came in on, looks like lap 99. It looks like lap 99. Wetzel came in on 101. Kyle Hess came in lap 100. So everyone immediately behind Brady has slightly fresher tires. I don't know how much Brady has pushed those tires, but Wetzel and has slight advantage for them. But Keller, I would say, has the largest advantage, but he is way back in the pack.
Yeah, this is going to be real interesting to me because you got Ricky Allen on the outside. He's going to be pushing Wetzel for everything he's got. Curtis Rogers, we saw how fast he was earlier. He's right in the mix. Wigington in the mix. This is going to get real interesting.
And I think with these drivers, I mean, it's a green-white checkered. It's all you hear. I believe we have 2 attempts at the green-white checkered tonight, so that'll make for some exciting restarts. As you see Charles Keller there, I mean, obviously freshest tires in the field, fastest truck the last several laps considerably. If he can get clear and get to a line, he doesn't get slowed down by anyone in front of him, I think he can make some noise and possibly contend to win this thing.
Well, he'll be starting on the outside, so if he can hold the throttle down, and we know he'll have the momentum. I mean, to me right here, you try not to even lift the first lap. You're probably going to have to on the second one, but I bet the first one, Brady's just going to mat it and hope it sticks.
Yeah, and I think he's going to try to get as good of a restart as he can and be able to come to the outside and maybe arc that corner. Or maybe he decides to start on the outside so he can have a better arc into 1 and 2, and that'll hopefully allow his truck to a little bit better. But it's going to be a very interesting restart. It looks like actually Charles Keller will be slotted in 9th, so he will be starting on the bottom here for this late race restart.
Yep, my scoring moved right when I said it. I know better than to jump the gun on that.
Well, it looks like they were moving the lap trucks around through some of that chaos, and obviously Lumpkin's gonna have to go to the rear as he uses his fast repair for the night. So a little bit of a shift in the order, but I mean Lumpkin fast repair, he'll have a brand fresh truck, but no fresh tires to use. So it'll be interesting to see how well he can maybe work through the field and get a couple positions out of this late race restart.
Yeah, one thing we haven't mentioned, Hess and LaBeouf are teammates in Triple M. And it looks like LaBeouf's going to choose the bottom. That's what I was going to say. Will he go with his teammate, try to get to push? And that's what it seems like it's going to be. Now I expect everybody full blast right here, using up as much track as possible.
And I hate to bother the boss man and the leader of the race, but I mean, we have to ask what has gone through his mind, especially late in this race when he saw that caution come out with 4 to go. Brady LaBeouf, you got Tyler and Mike in the NASCAR 360 booth?
Yeah, I got a copy.
I mean, what goes through your mind here is you got 1 to go before we go green on this green-white checker restart, coming to 4 to go, and you just see a wreck behind you in your mirror and caution's out.
Oh, yeah. Well, obviously, I picked the inside because I got my buddy Kyle Hess, my teammate, behind me. So I want to, kind of get him going a little bit so he can kind of get side by side with Brad going into 1 so they can kind of fight for second. And I can pull away. But as I've learned that if you get too big of a gap here on the restarts, they'll come flying by you like at Talladega and Daytona. So I think I'm going to have to block Brad here pretty bad. I hope he doesn't judge me. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I've been in this position before, so hopefully I can do what I did last time, and that's win.
Now pull the belts and get after, bud. I was going to ask you, but we're a little late. You get to it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I appreciate again Brady being our in-race reporter tonight, and should be a very entertaining last 2 laps here. I mean, what do you expect to see here, Mike?
I expect to see a big push from Hess. Brady trying to clear Wetzel as quick as possible, take the air off his nose so he can dictate turn 3 and 4.
As the Geico restart zone, Brady gets a good jump. Hess does not, though. Looks like a bunch of drivers spinning the tires. Drivers going 3 wide, 4 wide even on this front straightaway. Maybe a few trucks in the wall as well. So a lot of chaos as it looks like Hess is not going to be able to race Wetzel side by side for second. Brady's going to have to do a lot of the defense on his own, it may seem, in these last lap and a half.
Yeah, it's exactly what he said he did not want, to get too far away, because here comes the draft and here comes Wetzel.
Wetzel is there. So is Rogers there on the bottom of Hess. And it looks like possibly 3 wide for second. Rogers with a great run off of 4. He's going to look to the inside of Wetzel. Hess looking to the outside of Wetzel. Brady still leads coming into the white flag lap. This race is official.
Now let's see if we can stick it on the bottom. Rogers there got through the bumps a little bit loose. Wetzel wrecking behind.
Wrecking behind, but this race will come back to the line. Big wreck in the back of the pack. And it's going to be Brady with Wetzel on his outside here in 3 and 4. Wetzel had a great run down that back straightaway. Can he get to the outside of Brady LaBeouf here for the win?
A big run, not going to come, and there's your winner, Brady LaBeouf in the 9 truck. Great run by Wetzel right there, just about a half a truck short.
Yeah, just a really amazing finish there. Wetzel, I think, is wishing he had one more lap or maybe even just a little bit longer on that front straightaway because he had an excellent run coming down 3 and 4. But your winner tonight in your NRE Power Systems Truck Series recruitment race number 3 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway will be Brady LaBeouf in the 9 truck. In second will be Brad Wetzel, and third will be Brady's teammate Kyle Hess in the number 86.
Yeah, great racing there at the end. A little unfortunate. Looked like Kyle spun the tires. Couldn't push up Wetzel to try to challenge Brady for it. But just a great run from Wetzel tonight. That's all I can say. We didn't talk about him at all in stage 1, and then he shows up and he stayed up there for the rest of the night.
As Brady burns it down here in front of the Las Vegas USA crowd. I mean, just I would say our best race so far here in the recruitment races is our top 3 through. But looking at the rest of the results, Curtis Rogers will come home in 4th, Jonathan Wiley 5th, Jason Stevenson 6th, Cody Sanderson 7th, and Tony Brent last truck on the lead lap in 8th. As we saw massive wreck in the back of the pack on that front straightaway and even the back straightaway on that last lap, and that shows with the significant number of drivers finishing one lap down, including Kurt Jackson, Ricky Allen, Charles Keller, Huck Wigington, and Justin Lumpkin, along with Dan Matthews, all finishing one lap down. As we the rest of the field go through, Tristan Rogers will finish 15th, Michael Taylor 16th, Jr. 17th, Jesse Newsom 18th, and then the rest is the broadcast booth and drivers who did not start the race.
Yeah, Tyler, it was about what I expected. Everybody's going to go for it. They hit that last lap, and they know they just wide open. Get the big wreck. Brady and Wetzel able to pull away and put on quite a show at the end.
For sure, and obviously one of the most entertaining races that we've had this young season of recruitment races for the NRE Power Systems Truck Series. Nice to see a lot of green flag racing tonight. Definitely helps that we're at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, of all places, but excited to see these drivers race really clean all night long.
Yeah, it was great to see. There's a big thing when you haven't raced around guys a lot. How do you trust them? These guys seemed to pick it up early. Who was fast, who they could trust, and it turned out to be a real good race.
For sure, and as we wrap up the broadcast here, we want to get all these top 3 drivers in here for a quick interview and let them say thanks for everyone. So we're going to have our race leader join us in the broadcast booth. Brady LaBeouf will pull him back up in here, our in racer, but we'll talk to him real quick here shortly.
Yeah, we're just waiting on Brady to get into the chat, and then we'll hit him up and see what he thought of the race.
And we are now joined actually by our race winner, Brady LaBeouf, in that 9 machine. Brady, I mean, as we talked to you during that caution, as before we went green, I know you didn't have enough time to answer, but you were out front, clear as day, pretty comfortably over Wetzel, about a second and a half. And coming down to it, though, you get that late caution. I mean, what's going through your mind when you see that yellow come out?
Oh, bummer. I felt like I was controlling the race pretty good there at the end. So I was just maintaining the gap really because it was hard to get through traffic tonight for some reason. I couldn't understand it. I was running some lines that the other guys wasn't running. That was in front of me for lap traffic, but it just seemed like I kept on hitting the timing wrong, whether I was catching them on the entry of the corner or the coming out. So bad job by me on getting through traffic, but I was able to still get it done.
Yeah, and Brady, Mike here. The thing you said right before the restart happened. You got the big jump. Other guys spun the tires. Did you think Wetzel was going to get a big enough run to get you? I mean, you didn't even really have to block like you said, but you got out just a little too far. That had to be a little nerve wracking.
Yeah, I was mirror driving on the restart, so I was kind of trying to time it to give Kyle a sense of when I was going to go, and I actually didn't even spin the tires, so I was kind of surprised with that, and I got the big jump, so I knew Brad was going to have the big run like Robbie Richards had on me the last time we were here, so I kind of was paranoid about it, but he didn't really get the run to where he could dive on my inside. He kind of stayed like he wanted to go around the outside, but I was able to kind of hug that white line and get the run off. So, but good job by him for giving me a run there at the end.
For sure. And I mean, just a fantastic race for the win there. he had a massive run down that back straightaway and really gave us an exciting, fun, clean finish and something that we're excited to see here as these drivers get more and more comfortable running with each other in the NRE Power Systems Truck Series. But before we let you go, Brady, I obviously still want to thank you for being our in-race reporter tonight. And is there anyone you'd like to thank after this run tonight?
Yeah, obviously my family, my wife and kids, they allow me to spend so much time to doing all this stuff. So thank you to them. NRE Power Systems for coming on board and being a big sponsor. Nazra 360 Racing Network, Cody Knott. I mean, he's just doing a great job, including you and Michael and Jeff Sickles, everybody that helps us with that. Bud Kicker, Millie's, just everybody that puts this together for us. Store based comics. We've got a huge amount of support for our series and our leagues at Nazareth. So I welcome anybody that wants to come run with us. We've got plenty of series for everyone, and thank you for picking me, Tyler.
Yeah, of course, and yeah, another win for me in the broadcast booth and our competition among broadcasters to pick winners. So hopefully we can keep the streak rolling the next time out. But again, thank you again so much having you in here tonight and for all the help you've done and for everything you do for this league. And as we wait to see if second place can hop in, we're going to pull up third place, Mr. Kyle Hess, up into the Nazar 360 broadcast booth. And we are now joined by our third place finisher in the number 86 machine, Kyle Hess. Kyle, you get that late race restart. You're starting behind your teammate. What's going through your mind?
Hopefully we make it through it without wrecking. But we did a good job at that. We had a pretty good race tonight. I think it was only one really caution, really. I think the rest of them were stage breaks, so it was pretty good. I didn't think I had enough tire to keep up with Brady, but keeping up with the front two, I was pretty good. I had a pretty good thought about that.
Yeah, Kyle, Mike here, man. It's so good to see you back, having fun. You were actually my race pick.
Well, I appreciate that. At least it didn't go wrong for me this time.
No, man, no. My thing was Brady brought it up. Once you got back in traffic, what's the difference between day and night here? Was it simply just that hard to get around, guys, once you got to that bubble of air?
It's really about saving tires. You have to be patient. You can try to fight that, but if the more that you fight trying to get through that bubble, instead of being patient and saving tires, you let the guy in front of you eat up your tires, and once they can't keep in the groove, you just go right on by them. And that's my outlook on it, and that's how I got around so many people tonight. I hung back. I didn't wear out my tires too bad, and when the tires started wearing out, I started coming back to them. So, and usually when I was getting ready to go around them, it wasn't too much of a fight. I had one good battle. I forget who it was with, but we kept it clean, and I appreciate whoever that was. We had some good racing there.
And I think you said it perfectly. The racing, being as clean as it was, really did provide a great show and also makes it a lot of fun for you drivers behind the wheel as we come out of Las Vegas here tonight. But before we let you go, Kyle, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
And I think everyone in the league and all the sponsors for the league and all the series that are coming in and helping making this thing run. Uh, Everybody who's running it, Brady, Michael, you guys doing the broadcast and everything, it's come a long way since I first started, and I hope it continues going that way.
Yeah, we hope so too, Kyle, man. Like I said, it's so good to have you back. Looking forward to racing with you this Friday night, man. Enjoy the night, man.
Man, I'm going to try, and I will see y'all Friday, and we will go from there.
Thank you, Kyle. As it looks like we can't get, unfortunately, Brad Wessel up into the booth, but we do appreciate all the drivers tonight for putting on one heck of a show and for all the entertainment provided. And obviously, the great clean racing has really set this field apart. And we're hoping to build this into something really great here on Monday nights in the NRE Power Systems Truck Series.
Yeah, I think this is going to be something to really look forward to. Our other truck series that we run on Friday nights, we started it kind of like this, and everybody got to know each other. And once that happens, the racing will only get better and better.
I agree. And Mike, we'll have to chalk this one up to beginner's luck, but you are the first person to pick a driver that finished the race, even though you didn't win the broadcast competition. That wasn't me. So hopefully some of these drivers are appreciative of a broadcaster not cursing them that we've had in the last 2 recruitment races.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to not having those wins. You know me. I just stay in it, stay in it. Just never seems to happen.
But staying in it does allow you to be in it at the end, as we had an absolutely fantastic race tonight. Again, Brady LeBuff taking home that win, Brad Wetzel second, and Kyle Hess finishing a very strong third. As we again like to thank all of our sponsors here at NASRA and the NRE Power Systems Truck Series. Signing off tonight from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, I'm Tyler Dittmer, joined by McKinnon and our on-track reporter Brady LeBuff. Again, special thanks to our producer